Let's get into safeties real quick. Run down that room. Kamari Wilson, Miguel Mitchell, Jordan Castell, RJ Moten, Bryce Thornton, Jadarius Perkins, Dakota Mitchell, and Jamarcus Weston are the scholarship safeties in that group. Who do you have as starters, Nick? And then give us your room overview, and then we'll let you run to practice.
Yeah, I think I'm going to leave Miguel Mitchell there. He's a guy also, though, at 6'1", 220 that they've moved down, and he's playing in the box a little bit of linebacker. For my money right now, though, I'm going to go RJ Moten and Miguel Mitchell at starter. I think Kamari Wilson needs to fend off Moten for that starting job. We kind of had him penciled in the spring. Moten wasn't here in spring, committed during spring practice and arrived on campus earlier in the summer. And then another guy that I think will play a ton this year is Jordan Castell. I think he's a guy who the staff is really high on. They're high on Bryce Thornton as well. Both of the two freshmen that they brought in. And then when you name Jadarius Perkins there, I think Jadarius and Jaden Hill compete at star at nickel more so than playing at safety. So to me, I think the two deep will be Moten and Mitchell to start, and Kamari Wilson and Jordan Castell backing them up.
What is there any different style in safety play? Are we doing free strong safety, or is it pretty much two safeties with equal responsibilities? Like, what's the layout?
I think it's two safeties with equal responsibilities. The responsibilities more so on the safeties. They're like middle linebackers in Austin Armstrong's defense. They're calling everything out. Obviously they're farthest back. They have the entire field in front of them. So I think that they have a lot on their plate just in terms of calling plays out, getting guys checked. When there's motion, making sure people know where you're going with your defense, with your coverage. So I think that's kind of where RJ Moten, a guy who has more experience, is ahead of the game, ahead of Kamari or Miguel. So to me, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. And then as we start watching practice, I think I'll be able to answer that question. Like, hey, is there a true strong safety, a guy that's going to creep down in the box versus, that center fielder free safety who's kind of roaming and plays up top?
Right. That is going to be interesting to watch, especially with the young guys. If the safeties are relied on communication-wise and, they're important in defense, I want to see how Armstrong and the defensive staff implement the younger guys that may not have the knowledge and of course you can match one of the young boys with RJ Moten, who's played in a lot of games. I think it was like 25-30 games, something like that, a couple of Big Ten championships, a lot of experience there. But sometimes with young safeties, the ability to be there, but the know-how, knowing the defense, knowing the calls could be a hindrance to getting on the field. But I like your 4 deep. I'm with you on that, and I'm hearing the same thing out of the young guys. Seeing somebody saying Sharif Denson could definitely be one of those guys that makes a step in the right direction as far as reps at the star position. But the young guys like Bryce Thornton and Castell, I want to see how they implement these guys. Of course, their progress in camp. If they move up the depth chart and we start hearing that they're making plays in camp, it's gonna be something to look out for at the safety spot, because I think that room is a little wide open than most would like. I think the most solidified spot may be RJ Moten, to be honest with you. The other spot could be, and I like Miguel Mitchell. I'm a part of that hive, but I don't think he's earned the right just to say I'm the starter. I think he still got to go win a job a little bit there.
Yeah, no, that's a good take. I was just writing it down. The 5 that I have playing this year for the Gators at safety are Kamari Wilson, Miguel Mitchell, RJ Moten, and then I think Jordan Castell and Bryce Thornton are going to find the field as well. Those are probably my top 5. I'm going to say that Miguel Mitchell and RJ Moten are going to be my starters. I do think Kamari Wilson is going to play quite a bit. He did have a pretty solid orange and blue debut game. He had a forced fumble. He also had 5 tackles and a QB hurry. He did win the Steve Spurrier Commitment to Excellence Award also as well during camp. Certainly with a 5-star, I think a lot of people expected him to come and play right away. He made a lot of mistakes last year as well, but he was a true freshman. But he played the second most snaps, I believe, of any true freshman last year. So you hope with another offseason that Florida can continuously get better. In that group, you're replacing, no matter how good you thought they were or not, Florida does replace both safeties at this position this upcoming season. So again, there's going to be some times that they make mistakes and that they're not going to be perfect, and they're young and experienced. I think that RJ Moten has some more experience, which I think does give him the leg up over Kamari Wilson. But I do think you see, especially with the way that Florida's going to use safeties, I think you see all three of those guys, quite a bit this season.
No doubt.
All right, brother. All right, Nick, we'll see you soon, my friend. So we have, again, we talked a little bit about Kamari Wilson. We talked a little bit about RJ Moten. Miguel Mitchell again appeared in all 13 games last season, had one start last season. Jamarcus Weston, a guy that moved from receiver to safety. I don't know how much you can expect out of him other than maybe just a position change. I think that he's going to be a guy on special teams. But I think Jordan Castell and Bryce Thornton Silk. Jordan Castell was a 4-star recruit, number 10 safety in the country, number 139 overall player. I think, from him, guy with a lot of speed, a good hitter. You mentioned it, safety's kind of the quarterback of that defense. So you have to know where to be. You have to help point people in the right position. So asking for a freshman to play a ton might be challenging, or to start. But, again, you saw with Kamari Wilson last year that they can still get a bunch of snaps even if they're not starting. And then finally Bryce Thornton, 5'10", 204 pounds, a 4-star guy, picked Florida over Alabama. So, again, you have some depth there, but a lot of unproven names as well.
A lot of excitement on the defensive side of the ball. I feel good about that front seven. I feel good about my corners. If we can figure out that safety position, I think we have a very elite defense, man. Just speaking to some guys that's on the defense, they're confident at the position. They think they got some talented guys. But this vibe, I was around the team a couple weeks ago before I went on my hiatus. Just good, like the confidence in that building, I think is authentic. What you're hearing at media day, the confidence you're seeing on these players when they talk about, this upcoming season, I think it's real. And before the media day, I was riding. My brother's a Florida State guy, but he was there with me. I said, bro, I think this season's going to be a little bit better. We're not going to go win no national championship or go to the SEC championship, but that 5 wins, I think, is cool. It's Vegas, but you got to actually play these games. They feel super confident. I feel confident just from being around them and in the building. Like, those guys think they got something. So we'll see what's up with it.
And probably the biggest news of the offseason as well, the departure of Patrick Toney, or not the biggest news, but part of the news, especially affecting that room, is when Patrick Toney left to go to the Arizona Cardinals, Corey Raymond took over that whole group. I expect a better coached defensive backfield. I expect a defensive backfield that's more on the same page communication-wise. I expect that group as a whole to be better. Even if they do make some mistakes, even if they're young and experienced, I do expect a defensive backroom that communicates a lot better and is going to be where they need to be. We heard some rustlings about Patrick Toney and Corey Raymond not necessarily being on the same page last season. So I expect that as an overarching theme to be significantly better for the game.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the communication being better on the back end, but also safeties that I expect from Armstrong's energy. Like he's talking about a lot of physicality and being aggressive and getting back to some old Florida defense. So I expect the safeties to actually run the alley and hit running backs and make physical tackles. I haven't seen that in a minute. It's been a while since our safeties have been coming downhill and run support or any, I don't remember the last time I seen just an errant ball picked off, a ball hawk. So I want to see some changes with the young boys. I think they bring a lot of those capabilities at the safety position. So I just expect to see something. If guys are not producing at that back end, I think we'll see guys pull. My biggest thing last year was the mistakes from fifth-year guys. Guys that have been in the program forever and they're still making the same mistakes, and then they just stay in the game. Right. So I think you're going to see some difference with that this year.
Yeah, no, and I think, you know, ultimately what I want out of this group is, even if they're not the most experienced or the most talented group of safeties that Florida's had, you know, in the past, you know, I want to see good fundamental football. I want to see good tackling and wrapping up, and you know, that's where Florida got, you know, lost last year, was some guys trying to make some really big hits or trying to just make a move on the ball that missed and then left, you know, the opportunity for them to get gashed. You know, Florida had an atrocious defense last year. Florida fundamentally struggled in a lot of areas that I really hope, you know, with some proper coaching, some proper technique, and then ultimately that desire and want to, can be better and more consistent, even if they're not, you know, as talented as they've been in the past. If they can limit those big plays, then that, I think, will be the big difference maker for Florida this year.
Somebody asking me about, I like Harrison. Somebody's asking me about Weston. I like Harrison Sanchez take on Weston. He's turned into a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he has. You know,
and he's strong.
Yeah, get the free weightlifting while you can. You know.
Yeah, kid's in great shape. I don't expect a lot of him at the safety spot at this point. We have some talented guys back there that just got to figure it out. He's trying to figure out a new position. I'm with Dan. I think he's going to be a special team player. Hopefully, he can contribute in a very productive way on special teams. But strong kid. He benched some crazy weight on the socials this past week. Looks good for the strength and conditioning program.
Yep. So I think that leads us to the end.